Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. Hope everyone could hear me all right. Getting everything queued up here on an exciting Friday. And let's see if you can hear me out there. Perhaps
well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. Hope everyone could.
In either case, let's see again if you can let me know. Not found. I'm trying to get us live here. All right, can you hear me out there? I see someone typing. And let's see. Yes, we hear you. Okay. Well, I'm still figuring out this YouTube live thing, but guess we got it queued up. And on certainly a interesting day in the silver market. I'm gonna get the silver chart pulled up. I'm sure that you've seen the prices down just a little bit. And I've already been getting plenty of emails and comments, so figured I'd come right on here with you and take some questions there. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Kitco appears to be down even. Wow, goodness. So anyway, give me a moment here. I'm going to get things pulled up and really take some questions today more than just sitting here talking. We'll do about a half hour, but for anyone who is wondering what's going on in silver, I mean, you had the non-farm payroll report this morning. Again, it was a weak labor report, which, if anything, would indicate, well, if the labor report is weak, what is the Fed going to do? They're going to print more money, which, I mean, obviously, you already knew that. So again, a little bizarre to see the price fall off a cliff, accompanied by heavy volume yet again. But let's see if I can get the silver chart. We'll go on investing.com. And you can see here, it just falls off a cliff twice. And then again, looks like 8:15 Eastern time there. I believe that was the exact time of the non-farm payroll. Why it dropped here from 27.03 cents. Well, probably the best explanation is the chart in the background. You see the volume there. You see the volume spike right here. What we don't see is any sort of explanation. Glare there. Let's try this way. We don't see any sort of explanation from the CFTC, unfortunately. You know, again, I think it's interesting. I know you guys have been following Bitcoin, and I did a little rough math. Bitcoin's up 13x in the last year. Low volume, all right. Sorry about that. How are we sounding now? Keep me posted if the volume is better. Sorry, still getting used to this YouTube live through Zoom. It's like unraveling the Fed, but anyway, go ahead and fire in any questions there. Again, really just want to, if anybody needs to vent out there, then let me know. But yeah, I guess as I was saying, Bitcoin up to 13x over the past year. It's interesting to think, could you imagine silver, even if we had silver 2x, let alone a 3x, even despite today's prices, 3x would put us at 25 or at 75, and still very good volume. Okay, that's good to hear. So I mean, imagine just like silver going to 75. You know, keep in mind silver 50% below its 1980 high. So I get it, and I know certainly there are days where you wake up and it's not fun looking at the chart like that. Although, Chris, do you have Bitcoin? No, I do not have any Bitcoin. I have some other thing called Theta. I bought a bunch of them back in 2017 and know very little about it, but it's gone up a little bit, so I got lucky on that one. But for the majority of, it's been a while since I bought any cryptos. I do own some Veritasium, which, at least if Veritasium were to be successful, I guess I look at as the replacement for a lot of the rehypothecated infrastructure. Been trying to get Reggie back on the show to talk about his projects, because they also do securitize gold and silver. And but aside from that, everything I have is silver stocks. And I'll tell you what, but to be clear, not in any way legal licensed financial advice, but just the thoughts of a former, I guess current option trader too. I've been, just based on some things I was hearing and understanding, silver can go whenever it goes. Maybe it'll be $50 in a couple of months. Maybe it'll take 10 years. I don't know. I think sooner than later. But so to the degree that I take some hopefully educated guesses with option trading, I don't know. I'm wondering if maybe there's something coming in the first quarter or some movement. And certainly I didn't want to buy it when silver had gone up, a couple of bucks. Then especially when you look at those upside call options, the skew gets really jacked on those, which is quite different than the typical skew of your normal stocks. So in either case, if you did want to buy upside call options, obviously this is a much better time to do so than when you were up here. And I'll probably look around. I mean, I don't know that I'll go nuts, but again, I use the strategy of, well, if I did this 10 times, am I likely to come out ahead? And certainly if you even catch a $2 or $3 rally, let alone a bigger rally, I think that I can, and I guess we'll find out. So anyway, who's got some questions in here? I will take, Ray Henry says, hi, Chris, now is the time to buy. I mean, I think so. It's like if there had been like a peace rally in Washington and the Fed raised interest rates and they stopped QE and they unraveled all that, the banking system was still solid, then what you see here would make sense. But I guess, as Rick Rule often talks about, where it's having the conviction of your trade, I think this is the time where that really comes in more important than anything else, where if you think that silver and gold are eventually going to be a lot higher, and that whatever happened today, well, whether you like it or not, we'll get back to that, whether you should like this or not. But I mean, if you feel that way, then you're buying something cheaper. If you're not sure about what you see as the long-term outcome, that makes it a trickier decision. I can only share what I do and what I feel, which, I understand everyone has a different perspective, so you're going to see it your own way, and that's fine. But at least to me, when I look at, all right, is there any sign, not only like, is it underpriced, but to me, it's just, what sign is there that these guys are not going to push this dollar until it bursts, until it's in the wheelbarrows? Certainly I would hope that's not, I don't know. I try not to hope these things anymore. I just look at what they're doing and what's happening and respond as best as accordingly. I know silver, and certainly I'm guilty of this too. I mean, we get emotional about it. We want it to be higher. I think there's that degree to which people don't like dishonest crimes in the financial markets. And it's not a good feeling. It's like, when someone has a great product that everybody enjoys and people are happy for them, or when you go to a concert and everybody just has a good time, it's nice to be able to win when, and I think that's what's nice about the people that we have watching the show and that are in the gold and silver markets. Most of them are trying to find situations where we win together, put good deals together, create value. Unfortunate the government doesn't do that, but what a great chance for so many of us to be leaders going forward, in my opinion. So Slava says, Chris, how far do you think Bitcoin will go? Do you have any uranium stocks? My guess is that Bitcoin eventually goes a lot higher. Although I would say, even if someone thinks Bitcoin's going to 100,000, which I don't know if that'll happen anytime soon, but again, if you're just hyperinflating the dollar, which they are, then there's really no upper bound to me. With that said, I guess one thing I would suggest to people who are trading Bitcoin, or whether it's gold or silver or anything, usually doesn't go in a straight line. So, you know, if you do own Bitcoin, are you okay if Bitcoin goes down to 25,000 or to 15,000? Maybe I'm a little biased here, but if anyone's interested in diversifying some of those profits out of Bitcoin, where, you know, I wonder, it's like if you were sitting there with, you know, Bitcoin at 500 bucks and had, you know, a sizable chunk, and then you saw it go up to 20, then back down to 3, then now up 41,000 apparently today. Let's see, I'll pull that chart up here. Here's actually the options table we can even look at as well. But, you know, I could understand certainly if someone thinks that it's going to go a lot higher, and given the currency regime, and at least my belief that there will be an integration of many means of digital transference of value that will combine, I would imagine, with gold and silver and other commodities and assets. Yet, even if you think Bitcoin is better than sliced bread, I don't know. I think there's, at least from what we've learned and seen in the history of it and in the history of these markets, that where's the price? I guess that's a futures. I mean, there's some chance that it's going to come down, even if it's going to 100,000 or like a million or infinity. So I would suggest just keep in mind some money management, because as I was talking with a friend last night, that's the one part we can control. We can't control when silver will move or how these things will go. But again, Slava, to your question, I don't have any uranium stocks now. I wouldn't be opposed to getting some now. And I guess if you look at it where, let's say you own Bitcoin, or let's say you own silver or silver mining stocks, silver goes to 50 or 75 or 100. And then I got someone emailed me last night, when do you sell? Well, if the Fed's doing $1 trillion a day by then, it would be different than if the Fed was finally saying, oh, wow, you know, we're going to undo the QE and raise interest rates. So it's really contextual. But rather what I would do is, if uranium is still below the cost of production, if you have a big Bitcoin or precious metal profit, and that's not to say you have to sell the whole thing. I mean, maybe just there's certain points where it's like, you know what, Bitcoin, I'm going to take 10% of what I made here. It's a huge gain. And, you know, and certainly as a diehard silver bug, I've gone, when I left Wall Street, everything I had was in silver bullion, some gold bullion, silver or gold bullion, mining stocks, or options on miners, nothing else. I'm not recommending that. And, you know, I guess I was trained at an option shop where there is a time from a poker mentality to go all in. Yet, I don't know. I mean, I don't regret doing it. Obviously, timing didn't go the way I hoped, but in either case, you know, some money management mixed in, because I can't control when silver will go, but maybe had I taken 10% and put it in something that was some sort of diversification. So again, just think about that money management element, because I think that's the part that we can control. And, you know, getting flustered or pissed off because you see this, that we can't control. Actually, what we can control is how we react to it. And as I've talked about many times, and many people have asked, when the price goes down and they're ticked off, well, I mean, it's like, just imagine it's like a Black Friday sale. And if you do fully believe, I can't tell you to fully believe that silver is eventually going anywhere. I can explain why I think so. But if deep in your heart you see that, I don't know, like, or actually phrase it like this, depending on what age you are. Let's say silver wasn't going to go over 50 bucks for the next 20 years. But every sign that you saw was that the governments were going to go wild. I mean, they were going to stage Hollywood productions of breaking into the White House, and then you see videos of police guards removing barricades so people can walk back in. And of course, the next day, Nancy Pelosi and the gang are calling for, I mean, it's like we've seen this script before. So imagine all that stuff is going on. You get to be China, where they just sat there and it's like, well, as long as these nitwits are going to sell their gold and silver at bargain prices, I'll sit here and buy it. So, hey, if you're, 50 and you have like $3 million of silver, and you're like, if this thing moved, I'd be on my beach island. Well, I don't know. You could probably, in fact, if anybody wants to go to an island now and they're thinking they need to wait for silver to go, when I lived in Greece, I was on in a loft by a beach. It was a summer rental. It's 2,500 euros for the summer, but it was really cool guys. Like, you could stay the rest of the year. So I would suggest you can probably do most of the things you'd really want to be doing with your life now. And at least for me, I don't know, if I sit here and do the show or run my business or whatever else I do in life for the next 20 years and buy silver, or if it's, my kids that benefit from it one day. To me, I'm okay with that. And I'm not trying to say that I don't still think it will happen sooner than later, but just what we can hedge out is our reaction to it. And by all means, I've had my days where I wake up, see the price, and I'm pounding stuff. But hopefully we can change, or not hopefully, that's the thing that's great. I think we can change a lot of these things. So anyway, there is Chris's philosophical advice for this morning. Fire in some more questions. Alex asked, will gold, silver ever go up? Well, Alex, I would say that, I know silver is still a little bit low, but at least on the gold side, we're close to the all-time highs. So for all the people who are out there, I'm not saying to you specifically or to anyone here specifically, but when I hear, all right, the manipulation's never going to end, the banks are going to screw us all forever. Wow, gold taking a $53 hit today. I think that's part of it, and why, I don't know, sometimes doing the show is almost therapeutic for me, where it's like, if you can take that step back and like you're watching the Super Bowl and, it's back and forth and your emotions are in it, but in the end, let's see, what's the max we can get on this baby? Oh, great. So for anyone who's wondering, maybe you think the markets are manipulated, maybe you think they aren't. Here's gold at $250 back 20 years ago. And even despite JP Morgan and the spoofers, all right, so maybe it took a little longer. And maybe if you actually just, for people who wonder, is this going parabolic? Sure, although I would say if you just look at it as a fraction and say that gold hasn't changed, it's like if you have like a gold coin that you've had for 20 years, it's still just sitting on your desk. That hasn't changed. It's the dollars that have changed. And I would assert that if we had anywhere near the true amount of dollars priced in, it would be well higher. Yet, I guess I'm just saying, to put things in perspective sometimes can be helpful. Now, obviously, silver, where we're still 50% below the all-time high of 1980. Well, that's the thing. Again, if it was $200 today, you wouldn't be able to buy it cheap. So that's the trade-off. And thank you, Jonathan. Before I get to your question, I'll just add, I've been fortunate to speak with a lot of investors. Fortunately, we share it on the show here every night, so you guys get to hear it. I didn't set out to just go after gold and silver, but trying to find the smartest people I could find to make sense of these things. And they all say these same things where, rather than is gold going to go up or down next week and betting on that, by all means, if you have the expertise to do that, go for it. Yet, in my experience, the people and investors I've talked with who have been the most successful and made the most money really have just found things like silver and been patient, like uranium, which, if you have profits, in silver one day and uranium's still low, you just give, it's like being the big short guys. With when you stretch out that time horizon, not even just investing, but in anything, it just makes it such a higher probability to guarantee success, in my opinion. So anyway, Jonathan Ventura, thank you kindly for that donation. When looking to speculate in equities, mining sector, what is a good portfolio to start with? Explorations, ETFs, mining. Also, what do you look into with a specific mining stock? That's a great question. In fact, it's one of the questions I've asked to a lot of the mining executives that I've had on the show over the past year, because while I've studied silver for a while, the mining stocks, it's just a whole other beast. And the most common answer, and the one that I would certainly agree with, is the management team. Again, my perspective here is a little different from anyone's, of course, but yes, the numbers have a place, and you want to make sure, and the having a solid asset has a place. But to me, in today's culture, where we get lied to by the president, the central bankers, the Federal Reserve, the Treasury Secretary, the companies, we saw Enron's numbers were great, but they were lying about it. Bernie Madoff, his numbers were great, but they were lying about it. So to me, it's like, let's say we're talking about an explorer where they're going out and looking. They don't have anything yet. I mean, that's where it really comes down. I mean, always comes down to the people, but especially there, as the guy doing it, if he's not honest and maybe he has some bad habits, if he goes, looks here, finds it's not there, but doesn't want to admit it and then just keeps doubling down, lies to the investors, versus if you have someone, and some of the people that, I think you guys know, I'm a big fan of Sean Kunkin from Dolly Varden. I just love the way that he handles things and that he approaches things. So it's like, if someone is mature and has the strength enough to say, you know what, we sank our money in here. We know the market's going to pound us when they hear the news, but we're going to get out there and we're going to stop digging where we know it isn't, rather than doubling down on a loss. So I start with the management team. In terms of like the different types there, perhaps I can run that by Kranzler. I mean, he might be a little better suited to answer that, but I'll give my stab at it. Well, the ETFs like GLD and SLV, I would not touch. Again, I very much hope and pray that they are going to treat their customers right and have the metal. There's certainly a lot to me to suggest that it's at the very least a risk premium. If you want to trade some options or buy a position for a couple of days and take some risk, fine. But if you're saying I want gold or silver because I think this U.S. financial Ponzi scheme is a ticking time bomb, just buy the gold and silver, pay the premium. I just wouldn't sit in GLD or SLV. I wouldn't. If you really want an ETF, I would feel comfortable with the Sprott Trust. Keep in mind the SLV custodian as JP Morgan and GLD is HSBC, and we'll leave it at that. So the explorers, I mean, I guess a simple way of looking at it, the more risk there is, the higher the return. So if you think silver is going to move a lot and you hope to get like the 50 or 100 bagger that people are writing about 100 years from now, if you hit on the right explorers, you're going to get the higher return, versus now even like a First Majestic where they're in production, they're bringing silver to the market. I mean, I think you'll still get a stunning return based on what will happen, what I expect to happen with the silver price. But in either case, it's just, once we know it's there, the market theoretically prices these things in. So perhaps a mix of all of them. There's the royalty companies, the streamers. Again, I will list a couple companies off the top of my head in the silver space, not legal financial advice, but at least that I either own or have heard really good things about or found positive in my research or would plan to buy at some point. But there's First Majestic. I'm a big fan of Dolly Varden and Silver Sands. They are two sponsors of the show. So just to be clear, factor that in, although I like what they're doing. I like also what John Lee, Silver Elephant, is doing. Then you have Silvercrest and MAG that have great silver deposits. Pan American Silver, I've not looked at as much just because I think it's only like 25% silver. Reina Silver, Impact Silver, you're getting high leverage to silver. And Alexco is one to definitely look into. Wheaton Precious Metals. So anyway, I guess the way I look at it is that I start with, and on one hand, yeah, I'm fortunate I'm in the position that I get to talk to the guys who run the companies. Although on the other hand, B, record it so you can hear them. And I'd also add, one of the things that's great about these mining companies, you can talk to these people. If you hear, like Sean from Dolly Varden or Keith from Silver Sands or John Lee, you can get in contact with these people or representatives. So any questions you have answered, you want to know. Yes, Heath, I know of Orla. We actually had Jason Simpson on last year. They had a big year. But I mean, again, you can talk with these people and feel out. That's, to me, it just starts with, at the end of the day, like a silver does whatever silver does. When I look at this guy, I think of him as my portfolio manager of silver projects. And if I to me, I just listen to the way they discuss things, how they make their decisions, how they handle things, how they build a team, and then go from there. So maybe that's a good first criteria, and then you dig down, and everyone's going to have their different preferences within that. So anyway, let's get a couple more quick questions. Sorry, my answers are a little bit long. I don't know, some of these aren't yes or no, but we'll do a lightning round for about 5 more minutes. And then I want you guys to all go outside, have fun, stop worrying about silver. Your portfolio is going to be okay. Yara, I see, is in there. Yara, who came to visit in Austin last week. Yara, let's give away some silver for someone. How about for anyone who hits the share button, shares this on Twitter, and tags Arcadia Silver 1. Let's see what I got on my desk here. I've been leaving more silver around the house, carrying it in my pockets to be prepared for all occasions. So in honor of today's Silver Smash, and okay, this one is pretty darn fitting. So somebody, if you go and tweet this baby out, let's see if we can get, there we go, the Donald Trump ounce. I believe it, I know there's all the political experts, I believe even Trump has said now that Biden is going to be our next emperor. Yara, can you check on my passport, please? But anyway, call up Kranzler. Well, he's probably not in the best mood today. So anyway, we'll send out go and tag Arcadia Silver 1, tweet this call out on Twitter, and we'll send Donald Trump ounce out to someone. I'll set that aside so I don't give it away in another episode. Well, Gary, you can just tell some friends. I understand some people don't like Twitter. All right, let's take a couple last quick questions. Anyone is stupid. Anyone who thinks Trump is finished is not paying attention. He's not going anywhere. Well, all right, I guess we'll see. Hopefully I'm not stupid for not knowing the answer to that. But Chris, this crap is why so many are in Bitcoin. I could understand that. I guess so. My thought on that, though, is that the Trump administration with that guy Giancarlo acknowledged that they torched the Bitcoin price by bringing the futures contracts out. So I wonder, could Goldman Sachs decide again that Bitcoin is too high for them and hammer it down like they do gold, silver? I guess we'll find out. Certainly, by all means, I understand what you're saying. And although on the other side, just keep in mind, the more people who feel that way or throw in the towel, I'm not saying is right or not, but that's creating, because fair value is what fair value is, as long as silver is still being used and there's some demand. But if manipulation drives or changes things, it's thrown off the balance, which to me means the upside will at some point be higher. Butch Schaub, why is silver so suppressed? Well, there's the short answer. You see the volume spikes right behind me, because you can sell as much paper silver as you want, or not you, unfortunately, but the banks can look at the Justice Department calling JP Morgan's precious metals desk a criminal enterprise before fining him $920 million. Unfortunately, and then letting the same thing continue on. But anyway, Church, nice to see you. Thanks for joining in here. Steve Gerard, thanks for coming. John Williams, I wonder if that's The Economist. If so, I'm a big fan of your research, where fortunately, rather than lying to Americans like our government, John Williams on his Shadow Stats site stands up, tells the truth, shows people some of the real numbers. So monetary collapse this year, says Heath. Gee, I mean, there's sure a lot to suggest it would be this year. I mean, I just always factor in, when I was leaving the floor in 2012, I never thought we'd still be here. I would bet it, someone had said would be here in 2020 and silver would be $25. So that's really my only hesitation, is that it probably will always go on longer than we think possible. And then just when everyone gives up hope the most, then there you go, is my best guess. With that said, I'll tell you what, London Paul coming up on the show tonight and actually discusses whether we're going to have a reset this year. So a great reason to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, especially because I've heard from a couple folks that, you know, they've been subscribed, not always getting the episodes. So made a mistake, Chris. Get back on Wall Street and play darts with midgets. Okay, Mr. Rick. I never played darts with any midgets. I believe he's referring to the scene from The Wolf on Wall Street. In fact, I actually voluntarily walked away from a multi-six-figure trading position on Wall Street, specifically because I saw things were happening inappropriately in the market, went through financial hell, finally was able to start paying my own rent again like about a year ago. So Rick, if you don't like what I'm doing, then by all means, I guess you're welcome to your opinion, and I will leave that at that. One thing I might add, though, in terms of the subscription button and the notification bell, if you go to the homepage here and put your name and email address in, that way you can get them delivered right to your email. And I know sometimes things do or don't go as smoothly on YouTube for whatever reasons, but that's all right. And that way you can stay posted. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up this year. Some events, some conferences. Yara, thank you for sharing the address there. And with that said, hey, if you wanted to buy silver, if you wanted to buy mining shares, today is a better day to do that. I see Butch has a follow-up. Hey, Chris, thank you for the answer, but that is the mechanism of how they do it, but never understand why. It is blatant. Well, I guess the short answer is that if you could hammer the price, Yara, perhaps could you pull up, actually, I don't know. If you look at the Bart Chilton interview, I mean, he talked about it a lot there. Google Bart Chilton, Arcadia Economics. It's on the channel. Basically, if you can, let me put it like this. I mean, this would be highly illegal. I mean, but like if you could move the price of silver even 20 cents, but you knew that you were doing at an exact time with 100% certainty by front-running derivatives, which I might add JP Morgan confessed to as well. I mean, it's really like a diversified portfolio of criminal activities over there. I mean, you have unlimited money. So, I mean, you even tell me silver is going from here to 20 cents higher at this exact time through options or various derivatives. You can turn that into a large sum of money, which is pretty much what they have been doing and what I imagine they will continue doing even pretty much until it blows up, kind of like the US printed money until this blew up the last time. For anyone who wonders if this is ever going to end, go read about the London gold pool, or even better yet, you can check the Arcadia Economics channel and search for the London gold pool. I've talked about it there before. same thing happened. That's why Nixon took us off the gold standard. It will happen again, and perhaps just the best thing you can do is go outside, have fun wherever you are today. I don't know if anybody is interested in buying gold or silver while prices are lower. Arcadia at Miles Franklin is where you can reach Yar, who can help with that. A follow-up from Rick. Chris, all joking aside, I really enjoy your content and appreciate the hard work you're putting in. Alrighty there. So sorry, I didn't mean to be rude before, Jess. I do have some critics out there, and which is fine. And by all means, I think the majority of the people who log in each night watch this, but perhaps on an ending note, I do fully understand that there's people out there in the financial world, whether on YouTube or CNBC or the Federal Reserve, that say one thing when they completely believe another thing and are sitting there ramrodding you the entire way. Again, I mean, some of you know me, some have been watching for a while, some of you don't. So, I mean, that I welcome questioning or saying, is it someone we should trust? I'd say the best thing is you don't have to trust anything I say or make decisions because of I say it. I just like to point out data points that usually most people don't look at, that I found relevant in helping me to figure out what I've been able to figure out, and at least my beliefs of what's going to happen with the metals. So, but I would say at all times, just trust your own judgment first. And, aside from that, but yeah, I do understand people questioning things. I think that's great to do. And, all I can share is what I've done, where I'm coming from, and hopefully that's helpful for people. So with all that said, there's my friend Comstock Royalty. Nice to see you there. I know you're out digging up some silver today. So anyway, go have a wonderful weekend. We got you covered with shows. London Paul talking about, I think tonight he's talking about the financial reset, then Andy Scheckman tomorrow, and then part 2 of London Paul on Sunday, getting into how much gold China might really have. So anyway, with that said, going to wrap up here. Thanks you all